Hey, what's up? It's John Samuel, and welcome to All Access Live. And today we have a very special guest. We have Alicia Landsford from the East Texas Lighthouse, and she's the Chief Mission Officer over there. And she has no idea what we're going to be talking about today. And I was about to tell her right before we went on air, I was like, don't worry, we're just going to talk about what we were just talking about. And it's actually where Alicia and I first met. We actually met over in, what city were we in?
We were in, it wasn't St. Louis.
Tampa.
Tampa.
Tampa. That's where it was, Tampa, Florida, at the Vision Serve Alliance conference last year, almost around probably March, April timeframe. Mm-hmm. And it was really great to meet Alicia there because, we started talking about our different programs that we both offer. And that's something I want to talk a little bit more about, Alicia. But, my first impression of you was somebody who, it first came across when I heard your title, Chief Mission Officer. At that moment, I knew you were people-centric.
Right.
And then I actually looked at your LinkedIn profile and I looked at some of your recommendations. And that was a common theme that I saw, was that you are person-centric, you are mission-driven. And so I think the title of Chief Mission Officer is so cool. And so maybe that's where we're going to start off first. Like, what is this Chief Mission Officer role? Because you don't see that.
Well, you don't see it because I created it. So when I originally joined the Lighthouse, I was the director of our client services division, which is traditionally known as rehab services. And a couple of years into that, we had an HR director who was retiring. And while I had never been in HR before, she and I really connected on the people side, just general ethics, how, the relationships that I had with people here at the company. I would also probably assume, my level of both internal facing and external facing customer service. And so she said, why don't you take my position? Which was fun and terrifying all at the same time. But again, my background in criminal justice, the whole legal aspect of HR wasn't intimidating to me. I had a great team to come into. And so I was in that role for about 3 years. And then client services was still reporting to me. But we realized that with me being out of the picture at this facility and really with this team, that we lost a little bit of steam and momentum. And there were some other changes going on the kind of the quote unquote corporate side of what we do, the manufacturing side. And so I had the opportunity to come back to client services. But again, I was given the opportunity to kind of write my role. And so in the new role, I didn't lose that ability to influence HR policies and procedures. And I also kind of reinvigorated the passion and the movement and the momentum of client services and what we're doing for our clients. So it's kind of a combination of our rehab facility, pushing that forward. And then it's really just overall brand awareness, PR, expanding our impact, marketing our brand. This year in particular, it's been a ton of branding. Been several national conferences. So I assume it may change over the years, depending on what our focus is, but it is people, it's people, brand, relationships, PR, just all things to move it forward, make it bigger and better, really.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you truly do. You fit that role. That title of Chief Mission Officer, because what I've seen, and that's one of the things I want to talk about this year in particular. You've really been hitting the conference circuit, I feel like, and speaking out there and getting the word out there, because I think it is important. Both of us are mission driven. We both work for mission driven organizations.
Yep.
But can you talk about some of the conferences where you're going to be and what you're talking about?
Yeah, so we started the push actually last year. So we have been, over the last 5 years, we've been expanding our training to be able to do virtual training for people who are blind all across the nation. And we still serve our local 40 counties, of course, and then statewide, but we wanted to really get the word out. And so one of the things I said, and it's kind of been my theme, with people that I've talked to at the different conferences, are if you're not telling your own story, someone else is telling your story for you. Yeah, and, in nonprofit, sometimes you work somewhere that has great, brand exposure already, and everyone totally understands what you do. and everything is positive with that. And then you have other instances where maybe everybody's not fans of what you do, and you have to work, even harder to kind of tell that story. And so that's what we've really been focused on. And specifically, we've been in the assistive technology world. So the training that we do is mostly focused on Microsoft Office using assistive technology. We picked Microsoft Office simply because it's one of the most widely used business software systems in the world. And
Yep.
when you move up into management, you're going to have to do reports and business cases. And so we really saw it as almost an entry level, one of the areas that we could apply, or people taking our courses could apply in a very broad setting, both entry level positions as well as they move up with upward mobility, which is a big focus of ours. So we have been, we were just at ATIA in.
What's ATIA?
So that's the Assistive Technology Industry Association. So ATIA and CSUN, CSUN is the other very large assistive technology conference. I would say they're the two largest national assistive technology conferences in the nation. And we spoke at ATIA. So we attended for the first time, we exhibited for the first time, and we spoke for the first time.
How was that experience?
Yeah, it was fun. So we met a lot of really cool people. The question I get, and it really doesn't matter whether I'm in Dallas, which is about an hour and a half from where we are, or it doesn't matter if I'm in Florida. The common question I get is, why are you here? Which is funny to me, because I just look at them because they're other companies, and I'm like, why are you here?
Yeah.
For the same reason you're here, right? Exposure. And again, going back to that, if we're not telling our own story, somebody else is telling it their way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so it was great. People just one of the things I hear over and over that I'm really blessed, I think, to kind of be able to represent kind of lighthouses in general. And I say that carefully because I don't want anyone to think that I know more about their agency or anything like that. But, I get, when we talk about the training that we do, we talk about the services that we do, very frequently I get but you're a lighthouse. Yep, I'm a lighthouse. And y'all do all these things. Yes, we do all these things. And so I get the opportunity for some general public awareness for not just my lighthouse, right? Like, I'm advocating for the other lighthouses that maybe are in these towns that these conferences are in. I'm telling people, go get to know them, right? Lighthouses today are not the lighthouses of the past. And so that's an interesting dynamic to those booth days and, working those exhibits, because I'm usually at the booth. I'm the one, telling the story, passing out the free stuff. So that's always fun.
But ATIA was in Orlando, and you're right. They have Lighthouse Works and Lighthouse Central Florida, and that for sure is one of those lighthouses. Not your, not what your impression is. It's like it's the new age of.
So it was actually fun. I was able to talk to several educators that work with transition age students and even adults who were looking for computer training. And I was able to tell them that as long as they have the right computer training, that they can get a job right there in Florida with Lighthouse Works and, in Lighthouse Central Florida. So, I'm always careful, marketing for other people, of course, but it's a little bit about, talking about what we're doing.
We're achieving the mission, right?
Absolutely. It's collective for me, right? And that was one of the things I think that you and I really connected on at that conference. It was, it's all about the mission. We're all doing the same thing, right? In the blindness, accessibility, inclusion. And so the better that we work together, the better that everyone is going to do. So I'm all about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what resonated between us. I mean, like, it's all about the mission, right? And I think that, we're all doing really cool stuff in silos.
Yep.
But we need to be able to connect the dots and lean on each other for expertise and lean on each other on different experiences and support one another, and not look at it as a competitive, like a competition, because there's a lot of blind people out there. I don't think we're running out of blind people.
I don't think so.
So there's a lot of folks that need our services and support, and there's a lot of companies who need great talent. And I think what y'all are doing with your Microsoft training is preparing that talent for those, jobs that need to be filled. And, can you talk about, because that's what really I love the idea of, like, saying you need to share your own story, otherwise someone else's, because I've been hearing other stories about y'all in your training, and that's why I wanted to hear from you. So can you talk a little bit about what exactly you're doing with the Microsoft training, and like what surprised you about what you've learned from, engaging with so many students so far?
Sure. So we have three different courses that we offer virtually, again, across the nation. One is a 2-week course, Intro to Microsoft Office with
Yeah.
assistive technology. So that can be any level of vision loss. It can be their built-in technology and your magnifier, your dictation that's built in, Zoom text, JAWS, any of those standard programs. And that is for a beginner. I believe it's like 11 words a minute you have to type to get in. We really know that there are a ton of people who may be losing vision later in life that didn't have the opportunity to come in with those computer skills. And so we wanted a truly intro course that could prepare someone for maybe a receptionist type role or a customer service type role, getting them from almost no knowledge of Microsoft Office with their assistive technology to more of a kind of an intermediate level. So a little bit of pretext. We've been teaching Microsoft Office for as long as this facility has existed. So 12 to 15 years. We've had an instructor. So that wasn't new to us. What kind of has changed about the way we approach these is we are going from your traditionally prescribed AT training, which if you received AT training through the state or through anybody when you lost your vision, it's that, okay, 2 hours once a week, right? And it's kind of drawn out. And we just didn't find that the retention was amazing. It's hard for people to find time in their own life. They're living life just like anyone else to sit at their computer and practice typing or practice their commands. And so much about the assistive technology is memory, right? You have to remember those shortcut commands. You know that.
Need reps. Yeah, you need reps. You need got to
absolutely
consistently doing it. Yeah.
With like learning anything, right? And so we started this kind of boot camp idea. We got it really from National Industries for the Blind. So the second program that we have is called Promote. We are a contractor with Insight is what now that it's under. That is a 4-week course. And that is for someone that already has an intermediate understanding of their assistive technology in Microsoft Office, but they want to have more of an expert level as well as be that much more efficient. So an interesting thing about that course is that it is very fun to watch someone who is low vision and uses Zoom text, because JAWS is kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah.
The thought of, and so we find a lot of people that are using Zoom text really want to hang on to using their vision with the computer, but the exhaustion is overwhelming. A lot of times they just can't be as fast because the level that they're Zooming. And so when people come into that course, even if they're a Zoom text user, they put the mouse away.
Yep.
They learn it with keyboard commands. And so one of the cool stories is we actually brought back an employee. We were blessed to have her back on our team, Megan Aragon. She started with us and then she went to work for AFB, American Foundation for the Blind, for a little while. Life changes. She relocated back to our town and she's actually back on our team again. Well, she's legally blind. And when she came back, was getting her master's. She was going through a master's degree. And part of her coming onto our team is that she's kind of the future of these programs, the program manager. And we wanted her to, of course, take every single course that we offer, in that training and that preparation. And she told me one day that she had time accommodations for her master's degree. A double time, I believe, is what she had on her tests.
Yeah.
And she was using Zoom text through all those tests. And she told me that after taking both the assistive technology course, which I'll talk about, and Promote, she went from taking tests that would take her an hour and a half to 30 minutes.
Yes.
Like that's a tangible number, right? That's not just a feel good. And so that really, just the difference in even her, she believed in it before, but having that personal connection and experiencing that, her confidence in proofreading and business writing is gone through the roof because she is embracing JAWS and some of those, voice features where before she was a little bit more set on doing it the way kind of she had always done it. So that just is a great in-house success story.
That story is so similar to my own story because, I went from, using screen magnification. And then when I joined LCI, I essentially just engulfed myself in just using a screen reader. And I spent the first few weeks of my, job, just teaching myself because I knew I had to learn how to use a screen reader. And if I wanted to continue my career trajectory, and, it was hard. I didn't want to I kept on using my weakest asset, which was my eyes, to do to do things. And it took me so much longer. And once I started using that screen reader, it was like this weight was lifted off my body.
Mhm.
And the pain, the strain that I was going through was gone. And I was moving so much faster. And when I saw the impact that the screen reader had on my daily like work and life, it allowed me to then adopt a cane, which I had been hesitant and resistant to, right?
Okay.
But I saw the impact that this assistive technology had on my work. Now, let me use this cane because I think it's going to have this. If it can have half of the impact, then it's going to be good. But then I saw that the cane has changed my life as well. So,
Right.
no, totally. I get it. I get it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's we have several really cool stories. You know, and one of the things that's interesting to us, and we laugh about it here, is, you know, we're selling this idea of shortcut commands, right? It's really
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of other features to JAWS, but like it comes down to these shortcut commands.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I'm looking around at everybody like, why am I not using shortcut commands, right? Like it really
Right.
is
Everyone, y'all should be using
everybody
it.
can benefit from.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a little sticky note. So my community relations manager is legally blind. And he just went through a refresher. He went through the 2-week intro course,
Okay,
just because he's kind of just now embracing Fusion and JAWS. And he told me that he did more after he was in the course for like almost the 2 weeks. And he said he did more on a lunch break than he used to would do in an afternoon.
Awesome.
Like writing, like when it was really Outlook focused, it was navigating in Outlook, filing, replying, calendar invites. It was those kinds of things. Being community relations, you know, the calendar and those emails, he's constantly in that. So, but I have a little sticky note that I have on my computer with like 3 shortcut commands, and I'm trying to make myself go to them and use them, because who doesn't want to be more efficient, right?
Right.
And that's one of the things that we talk about. You know, we've done a couple of little interviews like this with it, is, you know, upward mobility, right? Like it's one thing to get a job as a receptionist, but you know, when you look at people for opportunities, and the people that rise to the top for opportunities are the people that have time, right? If you don't have extra time, you're not asked to be on a cross-functional team in marketing to get some exposure there. If you don't have extra time, you're not asked to take on an additional responsibility to, you know, be the person that plans the parties, all those little things that, you know, top performers kind of get themselves into to be recognized. If you're drowning in what you're doing all day long, you don't have time to take on anything else. And so that's a big thing for us too, is you may know how to do what you do, but what could you benefit from if you could do it in half the time? What opportunities would that open up for you at your agency or another job, or, you know, fill in the blank with what you could do with that time. So it's been fun to watch. And then the other course we have is an assistive technology instructor course. Okay. So, and that is designed for people who are blind specifically, but people who are sighted can take that course as well.
Okay, cool. And that is to become an assistive technology trainer?
It is an assistive technology instructor. So, there's a whole list of all the things that they go over. You know, I have those great people that do that job. I don't know what the details of it, but
it's so important, right? Because we need more instructors out there, because like I said, going back to my own, when I first, it's daunting when you're like, oh my gosh, using a screen reader there's a lot to it. We talk about those, you know, you have that little sticky note, and I almost took the approach of like, oh, I just need a list of all the shortcut keys, but it goes back to reps, right? And having those instructors really you know, provide.
And that's one of the things, you know, there's a ton of people that are going to learning management systems, and I think that that's fantastic, and that is great for them. You know, one of the things that we really have identified about ourselves is just, I mean, our people, our staff, our personalities, our passion. It is who makes us who we are, so much of who we are. And so we will probably eventually offer some things that are a little bit more self-driven, but we have no plans of losing that live instruction. So the courses are virtual. It's through Zoom or through Teams, but they are getting live instruction with our instructors. They're even building relationships with other people that are in the course. They get both group instruction as well as one-on-one instruction. So, and at the conferences, people seem to really like that idea. They do like that that relationship, you know, because a lot of upward mobility is also who you know, right? I got this job because someone told me they had an opening and I might be good at it. And so building those relationships within those worlds happens in all of those group training classes as well.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it is those connections that you meet in the trainings, the classrooms, and building out your network. And that's really important for folks, going through these programs. But, as we kind of think about, kind of shifting towards the employers, we're talking about training individuals. So I often talk about demand and supply and demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing, what we're doing at Abler, we're building up the supply of talent, right?
Yep.
So now the demand with the employers, if you were to tell an employer why you need to hire somebody who's blind, what would you tell them?
I mean, first I would start with why not? Because people are people first. And
Yes, for sure.
if I have a great person, I have a great person, right? It's about representation. It's about diversity. It's about awareness, right? I mean, so many employers and businesses, because blindness does affect a smaller portion of the population, I don't even think they have general awareness sometimes that blind people exist, not only as employees, but as customers. And so if you
Yep.
have someone who's blind on your team, you're instantly getting that perspective of, wow, there's a whole $1 million market out here of people that, I may not be accessible to. My website might not be accessible. My shopping cart might not be accessible. I may be losing sales because of it. So, I think we have a long way to come still, or a long way to go still in just overall awareness.
That's correct. Yeah.
But there's amazing people in again, I go back to people are people first, right? Like
Yes.
I don't want you to hire my person because they're blind. I want you to hire my person because they're a freaking rock star, and you don't have to worry about the fact that they're blind because they've got the training or their credentials. They're going to prove themselves once they get there. I just need the opportunity. So we focus a lot on that.
No, I agree with you. I think there's a lot. We have to change the mindset of like, how can you do that work to can you do the work, right?
Absolutely.
And with the trainings that they're getting from y'all, that's proving that they can do the work. Don't worry about the how. They're going to do it. They got trained. They got the assistive technology. Many people have never heard a screen reader, but once you hear it, my partner, Mike Guinelli, he talks about how it changed his life hearing the screen reader when he heard me use it, and with it, I mean, it's a superpower. We can read, we can listen so much faster than anyone else. And,
absolutely.
So.
Well, the other day I sent out a flyer and I had a typo on it. And Megan was like, you should have sent it to me. I told you I was a rock star at proofing now. Should have sent it to Megan, who's blind, because she would have caught it and I didn't catch it with my eyes that are faulty. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's awesome. But Alicia, I love what you're doing with raising awareness, building out these amazing programs and just being mission driven. But how can people learn more about what y'all are doing at East Texas and how to get in touch with you?
So we are on LinkedIn and on Facebook, East Texas Lighthouse for the Blind. We have a website right now. We are in the process of a new website. Our current website is Tyler Lighthouse, Tyler. So that is just the town that we're located in. We are working though on a rebrand. So that will redirect to a new URL. We're planning on rolling that out at the beginning of March.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm super excited about that, right? Got to stay modern. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit or for profit. You've got to stay with it. So we're getting ready to do that. So we're excited. But yeah, so LinkedIn, Facebook, and then online, and just pick up the phone. Like that's a big thing for us, right? Like just call us.
Yeah.
We love to talk to people.
Oh, fantastic. And so which conferences are you going to next where people can?
So we'll be at CSUN. So CSUN is at the California.
Los Angeles, Anaheim, and a couple.
Yeah. Yep, in Anaheim. There we go. Mm-hmm. We're going to be there. We're going to have a booth, so people can stop by there. We're also going to have a session on the first day over Braille note takers and different Braille devices, how to determine which is the best one for your person in what environment. Nice. And then we are actually going to be at the Texas AER conference in March. And then we are most likely going to be at ACB. I believe that's in July. I think we're going to be exhibiting there as well.
Well, you got a couple of busy months coming up, but I appreciate you. Check out Alicia on LinkedIn. She's been putting out some great content, and I appreciate you just taking the time to chat. And I really appreciate and enjoy every conversation I've had with you, and I'm glad you were able to get you on. And
Same.
so thank you.
Yeah, no,
And
thanks for having me. As always, like you said, we connected the first time. Me and Amy talk a ton just about how much we love working with you. To find people that understand that relationships are two-sided and we can all benefit, and we're all a team. We've always gotten that feeling from you guys. So any collaboration opportunities with you or anybody else out there, we're very, very open to collaboration.
awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, pass on my best to Amy. She was so much fun. And but Annie, thank you so much for everything you do in the back end. And we'll be back on March 2nd with Emmanuel, who's going to be a really cool guest from Zambia. So you got to tune in for that.
Awesome.
But well, thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Alicia, again.
Thanks.